Hello, my name is James and welcome to Mirror Domains. Today we're going to be talking about Gotham Season 3, Episode 7, Red Queen. And the episode starts off with Valerie waking up in the hospital with Gordon after she's been shot, and they talk about the whole situation which happened last episode with her being shot by Jervis Tetch. And then it takes a kind of a surprising turn in the sense that she kind of like casts him out. Like, yeah, you're right. Being around Gordon is dangerous. And then we had the opening credits, and the Hatter gets this drug called Red Queen from this guy. I don't know who the guy is. I'm going to have to do some research into that. And then it moves on with Edward and the new Miss Kringle. I guess her name is Isabelle. And they're just talking about how they really like each other. And basically you can tell that Penguin is not going to like that at all. And then it comes a weird scene where the Hatter comes into the hospital where they are keeping his dead sister. And he comes in and like looks at the body, and it's just so weird. It's just weird, man. And he takes it with the Tweedledee and those twins or whatever. It was a weird scene. Okay, and then the episode moves on with Bruce and Alfred talking about how Bruce is making a dinner for him and Selina, Cat. And I guess they're saying that they're an item now, but it plays out a little bit differently than I thought it would. And I'll talk about that as we get on through the episode. Penguin and Edward talk about Isabella and Isabelle and how Edward and her are really falling for each other. And you can tell, yes, the Penguin does not like that at all. And he's going to get in the way, I think. Yes, he will. This episode is full of weird things that happen. And the weirdest thing that happened in this episode, from my point of view, well, actually, I don't know. I guess Jim tripping on some drugs is pretty crazy, too. But this is pretty crazy, too, because it shows this scene of basically the Hatter has his dead sister hung upside down, and he's draining the blood out of her neck. I was shocked that they would show that on TV, but it's just kind of like, oof. Some startling imagery for sure. Okay, then it moves on. Mario and Lee are talking about Gordon, and Mario's saying, well, I don't really like you being around Gordon because he's going to bring trouble. And Gordon is in the background, and he can hear all of this conversation. And then Lee and Gordon talk about his decision. Like, does he still have feelings for her? And Gordon tries to give some BS story about, yeah, he really wanted to save Valerie, but Lee isn't having it. She doesn't buy his story. So for that, I thought that scene was really well done. Okay, so what happens next? Penguin decides that he wants to get in the way of Edward and Isabelle, and he visits Isabelle at work and basically tells her that, the Penguin killed somebody who looked exactly like her. And, he's very jealous about this new relationship. And it's interesting how that plays out, because it basically plays out with her accepting it. And it's weird. Maybe this new girl is just as crazy as Edward. I'm guessing that she is. But it's just weird how quickly she accepts it. It was a really interesting scenario that the Penguin was trying to set up. But I guess it failed. We're going to have to see if he goes to more drastic measures in the upcoming episodes. All right. What's next? The Hatter poisons Gordon at this point, and he's got like that drug called the Red Queen that he blows on people, and they inhale it and they begin to hallucinate. And this is where Gordon kind of faces his inner demons, and it's told in this elevator where Barbara is the person operating the elevator. And we go through a couple of scenarios. We go through 3 scenarios, actually. The first one, I guess, I won't talk about that one, because the other 2 are more important. Bullock and Barnes interrogate a suspect. Oh, that was interesting. Basically, they're trying to play the good cop, bad cop role with this suspect who led Tetch into the hospital. And Barnes loses it. He just grabs the guy by the throat, and he starts to have those weird vein things pop up around his eyes, and it catches Bullock off guard for sure. But I think I can say that Barnes is starting to realize that he doesn't have complete control. Hazard poisons the wine of the ruling class at a dinner party. Yes, there's a dinner party that was happening in this episode where basically the founders of Gotham were getting together for a meeting, and Penguin was going to be there because this is like the founders who built Gotham. And the lady from the Court of Owls is at this dinner as well. She doesn't sit with them, but she's basically there to introduce herself to Penguin, and she makes it aware that they're aware of his nefarious past, and obviously will have plans for him later on down the line. Gordon's second hallucination is about a family with Lee, and he has 2 kids. And you can tell that he really liked that hallucination because he tried to hold on to it for so long. Basically, the kids start disappearing, and he's just kind of frantically saying, "No, I want to keep you. I want to be with you." And then, of course, he wakes up in the elevator with Barbara again. And I like one interaction they had there. Basically, it was kind of like them acknowledging their older selves, and Gordon's kind of like, or was it Barbara? I can't remember. One of them says, "Well, don't you wish that you could just go back and be like the person that you used to be?" And it's kind of like them remembering where they came from, kind of like how they used to be together. I like that. That was a nice moment. I like that a lot. Okay. Bruce and Selena finally meet for dinner, but it's an interesting setup in the sense that she's late, so basically he feels like he's being stood up, and he kind of takes a cocky move. You know, when you're younger, you make those kind of silly mistakes with relationships, kind of like, hey, if the person's late, then you get mad, but, you know, when you're a little bit more seasoned and experienced, you kind of like let that go. And it basically culminates with her saying that she's kind of she feels weird about the whole situation that they're going through. So I like that. I like that a lot. It's slowly progressing. Okay, so the last scene or hallucination scene with Gordon is a scene with his father, and you kind of get the impression that his father died or something like that. I'm not sure exactly. I can't remember, but they're just talking about, you know, how he could go to work, like his father could go to work and be able to put down all the weight of his duties when he comes home to spend time with his family. And Gordon says that he wants to do that too. And it's all leading towards Gordon coming back to the police force. That's pretty much what this whole hallucination thing was all about. And it was okay. It was an interesting scene. They set up some things. I'll talk about that in the last shot of this episode. Okay. And when that all happens, it basically points to his father's ring that says a message like, "Stay and defend," or something like that. And then when Gordon wakes up, Mario wakes him up with some anti-hallucinogenic drugs, and they talk about what's going on. And then something weird happened. When Mario looked away, he had a Band-Aid on the back of his neck. And I don't know what they were. They made a point of showing you that, so I'm guessing that it's going to have some implications down the line. It's just curious, though. Okay. And that's all I have from my notes. So I'll talk about the last scene. Okay, well, basically, as I said, Gordon comes back to the police force. He comes in to meet with Barnes, and Barnes is looking at his last will and testament. So I'm figuring that Barnes, he knows that he's going to eventually succumb to this blood that's in his system. And Barnes welcomes him back to the force. And then an interesting scene happens with the lady from the Court of Owls. She's talking to this shadowy figure about the Penguin and what's going on in Gotham. And we see that the shadowy figure has the ring on of Jim's dad. So they're setting up, I'm guessing, a future storyline where, you know, basically he's going to have to talk to his dad again in real life, or, you know, maybe his dad didn't really die. I don't know what happened, but that's what they're setting up for this. And, okay, it seems interesting. It got me hooked. So, there we go. Okay, so let me rate this episode. It was interesting. I wouldn't say that it's my favorite episode. I think it was a necessary episode to close the book on some of the story threads, like Gordon coming back to the force and such. So for that, I'll give this episode a 7 out of 10. And I can't wait for the next one. And I guess Tetch is now in Arkham. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. All right, so that's my thoughts on Gotham Season 3, Episode 7, Red Queen. If you've liked what you've seen, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. And the sound quality, because I've had to make an adjustment as my older camera decided to kick the bucket.